I'm Tyler from Reversion Raceworks, and we are back at Blue Sky Performance to dyno this pig. It made more power, but didn't quite go as we expected.
I'm Jeff from Blue Sky Performance. I'm helping Tyler and the Reversion guys tune the Suburban here on Holley. It's been a little bit of a struggle, but not for any reason that you're thinking it will be. The Holley system worked flawlessly. What we ran into problems with was we eventually figured out, if you look down, we have the row of shame here. What basically was happening was at about 4,000 RPMs, the water pump was breaking. This was the first one. Second one had a hairline crack in a similar spot. Third one had another hairline crack in a similar spot. Fool me once, right? Well, we did it 3 times. Finally put another new pump on it. Ran the car without the fan assembly and clutch, because we're in the dyno, we can control engine temperature with the dyno fan, and made it through a full pull. So the original fan was bent, and I think the original fan clutch had some free play in it, which at 4,000 RPM caused the perfect vibration, and it was just rattling these pumps apart. I'm super happy that we got through that. We dumped 10 gallons of coolant total probably on the floor here. But after doing the pull without the fan on it and realizing we were good, we were able to put a fan on it, a new fan and fan clutch, and the truck is now tuned up and ready to hit the streets.
So each dyno pass has resulted in a killed water pump. It sucks, but we did get good data from it. Jeff was able to put together a tune from all the previous runs and get us pretty damn close. So let's try a clean run with water pump number 4, I think. And we're gonna take the fan off, run it, no clutch fan, no steel fan, nothing, just straight water pump. We'll put a fan in front of the dyno, keep it cool. Let's see how it does.
Power, 45-ish 100 RPM with 23.9 degrees of timing and only 6 pounds of boost. And then that's at 4,500, say, at 5,000, 20 degrees of timing, 7.5 pounds of boost. It's like minimum, minimum is 4, and then it slowly starts coming up with RPM.
Good news, that one lived. Let's take this junkyard fan, throw it on the truck, and see if it lives with the new fan.
Yes, we don't have a puddle of coolant underneath the truck. I don't know if you noticed my hand on the ignition.
Oh, I'm sure.
Staring through there, waiting to click it off once I see a smoke show. Oh, that was awesome that worked.
Fuck yeah.
This was the first pull that we did. So this was same timing, same air temps on it. So it actually did make 7 horsepower more. So conceivably 10 horsepower.
Honestly, I thought the clutch fan would have taken a little more power than that, but I guess it makes sense.
It is the best form of mechanical fan to have for parasitic loss. Like at those Flexolites, I know those, I've seen engine masters test them. Like those rob the most because it's a direct drive, one-to-one. And those things, when they start flinging out, like they are pulling some fucking air.
Yeah.
Those are scary. If I got hit by one of those, woo,
Lose your hand.
I would have been chop suey. All right, so coming off the dyno, we're just going to do a data log review. I've highlighted here just the wide open throttle portion of it. This red line is going to dictate our RPM sweep. This blue line here is our closed loop compensation. And this green is my foot pegged to the floor. So starting at the beginning, before we go wide open, we're at 35 degrees of timing. Closed loop compensation is 3%, well within a good range. Fuel pressure is sitting at 56 PSI, which will come into play here. We want to always keep an eye on that. Start the pull on the beginning of the stab here. Closed loop 2%, so our fueling is right at a 12.0. We were calling for an 11.7. It's well within a safety limit. And what we're going to see here is boost at 4.8 pounds, timing at 23. And as we rise, boost is going to go up. Our timing is going to drop because we are pulling timing as RPM and boost increase to resist detonation. And then we should also see our fuel pressure jump. Like right here, we went from 56 PSI to 62 PSI. Every pound of boost adds a pound of fuel pressure. All right, coming up through the pole, our closed loop compensation looks good, 1%, 2%. Still in that 4.5 PSI range, same timing, same fuel pressure. And then right at about 4,500, we do start to pick up some more boost. And that's 4,500 is about where we start to plateau for our power. So it holds the power pretty well, which we'll show you on the dyno graph later. Keep it up 6 pounds of boost. Closed loop compensation is just perfect there, not even trying. Good ignition timing, 22 degrees. And maybe at 5,000, even though we did run it to 51 there. So 5,000 RPM, 8 pounds of boost, 20 degrees of timing. We're pulling a little bit of fuel here. We are out of the efficiency zone at 5,000 RPMs. We are in the just trying to sustain up here. Fuel pressure 65 PSI, oil pressure 69 PSI. It's great. Duty cycle 94%. So we are out of fuel injector. Now the car is set up to shift at 5,000 RPM. So the meat and potatoes of where we're going to be seeing the power, 4,000 to 5,000 between shifts. So we're hovering 80% duty cycle up to 90% duty cycle. That's at wide open. Cruising, we're at 20% duty cycle. So these injectors are maxed out, but for what you're doing, it's fine. It'll take you where you got to go. If you ever want to put more power into it, you would need to upgrade the injectors on it. But everything looks pretty good here. The scary thing about this supercharger setup is this blue line here is dictating our manifold air temp. It is rising as boost rises, which is typical. It's going to rise with RPM and horsepower. At the top of the pole, we are at 172 degrees. That is right about where I have the safety on this kicking in to start pulling ignition timing out. So if it's going to get hotter on the street than it does on the dyno.
Yeah.
So usually at like 150 is when I actually start to pull timing out of these cars, which is we're sitting at 150, even at just at the bottom of the pole almost. Being that we know this thing is a pretty low compression engine, we can get away with it will resist detonation more because of the low compression. So we can run a little more timing with the higher IATs to a point, but I said at $170, I'm starting to pull out I think a degree or so right there. So yeah, at $170 I pull out 2 degrees, and then we make a big jump at $177 as we go up in temperature, which I hope we never get to 250 degrees.
Yeah.
But we are scaled for it if it comes to that. And this will only affect us it's not going to affect our idle at all or our startup at all. We have this affecting us above 5% throttle position. So this way it doesn't screw up with any of that. It's just when you're on the gas, if IATs get to that point, it'll pull them down until it cools off the air charge for us. So just a good safety to have there. Another craziness with this deal is it is a very funny looking fuel map. Up in here, this is where we were out of fuel based on the duty cycle, but we're not going there. We're on the edge of it, but we're not there. The graph, having this crazy hump in our fuel is wild. And this is where we're making peak torque and peak horsepower. So it's using the most fuel there, and after here, we are inefficient, and more inefficient as we fall down the hill as RPM goes up there. Solid data log. You can ask for anything better. This car, for all the fight it gave us with fuel pumps, it took a tune-up very well. So we're gonna be happy to see this thing on the street. All right, so here's our baseline in red and our final Holley in blue. There was a little dyno anomaly here, don't worry about that. What this is showing, about a month ago, we did a baseline on the truck, and then this red curve here is our horsepower, and we can see it's very wavy. We don't know exactly what the truck had in it for a tune. It's whatever it probably had left the dealership with in '99. What this is all lean through here. When we had ran this, we had a wideband in the exhaust. This was, I think in this area, it was like a 14.0 air fuel, and when we really lost power here, it was actually a high 15.0 air fuel. And if we know boost, we know that it likes 12s to mid 11s is safe for the street. So all this wave was just from it going rich to lean back to, and not even rich, it's underfueled the whole way across. This is dangerously underfueled here. And we can see what we did with the Holley. The difference was we had control. We were able to tune everything right from the laptop very easily. And we can see here our new horsepower line shooting across, very linear, very flat. Our torque is ridiculous on this thing. We made 535 foot-pounds of torque at 3,100 RPM versus the stock 351 foot-pounds of torque.
That's crazy.
That's insane. That's insane. And this is just a huge lean spike. This is right at the start of the pull. So the base run was just crazy lean here. It got a little closer, 524 versus 474. It's only there for a 500 RPM run. Having full control of the ECU allows us to, we've made more power, we've made safer power, and it's just more consistent power. The whole way across the curve, this thing makes more power and more torque.
We didn't hit the road yet, but 200 more foot-pounds off the snap of the throttle has got to feel a little bit different.
That's going to be a burnout guy, burnout machine for sure. It's going to get a trailer moving better. And then something else cool we did for funsies, because we did it for fun because we kept blowing up water pumps. And why not make a bad time a good time? We did a before and after with our clutch fan off, because we were saying we ran it without a cooling fan to make sure we didn't keep breaking the water pumps and to prove that that was the problem. So what we're looking at through here is 6 to 7 horsepower difference, 10-ish foot
back here.
Back here, yep. 543 versus 532, 341 versus 334. So that fan robs about anywhere from 5 to 10 horsepower foot-pounds of torque at the tires, taking that even more away at the engine, obviously. So not a big difference, but this is like stuff that just makes the car or truck feel lighter almost. Like, all right, I took 100 pounds out of the trunk yesterday. That's what that would feel like to
Yeah.
you went on a little diet, maybe. That's what that would feel like to you. But that's just cool information to know. It's nice to see like a delta like that, and it went in the right direction.
Yeah. So one thing we were talking about, a little theory behind what this dip could be, is on an NA car, you'd expect it to peak out and just fall straight down, right? And like you mentioned before, it's a little abnormal that this truck is making more boost as the curve goes on. Like, let's say at 4,000 RPM, it's probably making, I don't know, what, 6 to 8 PSI?
It was closer to 5 even.
Oh, okay. So it's even 5 PSI. So you're making peak power probably around 5 PSI. And then why throughout the curve where it's peaking at, say, 8, even close to 9 PSI at the end of the curve, if you go a little past 5,000 RPM, why is it making the same amount of power? We think the boost is enough power added to just maintain the entirety of the curve. Yeah. Where if, say, you had more cylinder head, more camshaft, more whatever, you'd probably see more of a spike. You'd see that power climbing, and you'd see the actual torque and horsepower cross like you would expect to on a normal dyno graph.
Yeah, this is not a performance cam dyno graph for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a very a valid point. This supercharger acts more like a centrifugal, even though it's a positive displacement blower.
Or even like a more traditional roots blower or whatever you want to call them. It would, if say it peaked at the 5 psi here, you probably would still see that drop if it wasn't continuing to climb like a centrifugal blower.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting.
It should drive way nicer than it did before when it was in stock form from the dealership. So cool stuff. I love it.
Sweet. Well, that wraps up this dyno session at Blue Sky Performance. We couldn't thank Jeff and Jesse enough for all their help in getting us to this point. We're not quite done with the truck. We still have a little bit of things we want to do, but we did make our deadline for good, guys. We're hitting the road tomorrow, and hopefully we see you there. Stay tuned for more. I'm sure we'll have more updates coming soon.